There's never been a better time than now to stop what you're doing and tune in to Straight Up, TAB Radio's weekly podcast that will guide you through the difficult journey that is the punt. Whether it be racing or sport, the Straight Up team has your back. Now, from the studios of TAB Radio, welcome to Straight Up.
Yes, welcome along, Rylie Morgan. How are you?
Good, thanks, Marty. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to a big show today. Yourself?
Yes, so am I. Looking forward to having a chat to Mick McGuane and then getting stuck into this Belmont, now I guess you could call it Pinjarra Guineas, out there on Saturday.
All right, we'll clear up Divi's Northern. They're a bit late coming through, but they're here now. And your man, Alex Hearn, gets the money on Where's My Lunch. A nice win.
Good win.
780, 230, Shoe 440, like no other 610. The Quinella 64.70, exact $129.80. Trifecta $1,871.80. First 4, 7, 3, 6, 5, 11,725.30. 4, 7, double 34.50. That is Northern race number 5. Northern race number 6. Look at the board here. This will go at 3:30. 1 Rockin' 1 to 7. 2 Surf Patrol 550. 3 Azena 7. 4 Fancy Red is 265. Precious God 550. 6 Star Profit 126. 7 State of Fury 8. 8 Boys Light Up 101. 9 is Ruby Rock 61. 10 Cable Rock is 71. 11 Champese 23. 12 Dadira is 81. And 13 Il Giro del Mondo at $26.
McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Mickey McGuane, goal of the year.
Mick McGuane joins us on Straight Up for this AFL preview thanks to Dankz Furniture.
You won't see better than that.
With 6 local stores in the metro area, there's one near you.
Yeah, very good afternoon, Mick. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Marty. How are you, Riley? Going well?
Going well, Mick. How has the week been so far?
Well, pretty busy. Full on in relation to footy. Obviously, have a look at the over 30s, who should go on, who's contracted, who's not, who probably gets knocked on the head for an article for the Herald Sun, and that takes up a bit of time when you've got over 110 blokes in that category, so you've got to do your homework in relation to who should or shouldn't get an extension or who maybe get tapped on the shoulder.
There'd be plenty of them.
Well, have you started that investigative piece yet?
Yeah, I've done it. That's what took up sort of Monday and Sunday night and a bit of Tuesday.
All right. Can I just ask you?
Went online.
Mick, can I just ask you, Carlton have got a few of them. How did you go with the Blues as far as these 30-year-olds and ups?
Well, Cripps is obviously contracted and he's a no-brainer that he'll go around again. He'll certainly stay, obviously a Carlton player for probably his footy life, I would have thought. The other blokes at Carlton, you got Sam Doherty. He's got to be given his marching orders in relation to being a terrific servant of the game, fantastic ornament for the club.
Yep.
He's overcome much adversity, both on and off the field. But in saying that, I think it's time to regenerate their list and bring some speed and youth for exuberance into that club. Nick Haynes has obviously got that one-year contract, started very slowly, I thought. No rush to see whether he goes again. I reckon it was a Band-Aid fix initially, proved worthless at the start of the year, but to his credit, I think he's responded. Newman will get a contract on the back of coming back. He's been in the top echelon of players at Carlton for the last couple of years. Sard will go again, Zach Williams. I think he's contracted, which I submitted a case to say, well, if it's heavily loaded back end, maybe they try to give him an extension of one more, but a lesser pay packet. And Mitch McGuane, I'm hearing that his manager might be shopping him around to a degree. He's reached a trigger. He's got versatility as a backman and a forward, kicking goals last week. But I'm not sure whether anyone in Perth would be interested in Mitch McGuane relocating back home or even going back to the Adelaide Crows where he didn't leave in the right manner.
I think that move to the front half of the ground has done him well over the last couple of weeks in his favour.
Yeah, it's freed him up a little bit, but they've probably done it out of necessity. No Kemp, no Mackay, someone there to support. Charlie Curnow, who's struggling, obviously, and Hudson O'Keefe done his hammy. So it was through necessity. I think that's the reason why they did it. If they had their ideal playing group to pick from, all things being equal, I think he'd be still a part of their back end.
Well, there's no football club more under pressure than the Blues at the moment, Mick, and Port Adelaide to a lesser extent are under pressure as well. They do battle tonight for the first game to open the final of these bye rounds, thank God, at the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide $1.70 favourites, Carlton at $2.15, the line at 5.5, the total points 160.5. How do you think tonight's game is going to play out, Mick? This is certainly going to be a game, I would suggest, it is going to divide opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think from a value perspective, Carlton do represent odds if you want a head-to-head bet, but could you back them and trust them to get the job done and collect? I certainly couldn't. We know they can't run out games. That's been proven over a huge sample size of the year to this point. And Port Adelaide are a team that seems to respond on the back of a poor performance. And let's face it, if Sydney had kicked accurately last week, that score difference at the end of the game would have been a lot greater in the favour of Sydney Swans. So I think we'll see a response. Interesting to see the changes from both clubs. We knew Aliir had come back, who was out last week through illness. He's back. I thought Lukosius, they might have rolled the dice on him. Ryan Burton being dropped is a bit of a surprise for me. I thought he'd stay in the team. And Travis Boak, I reckon he's probably playing for his footy life. He's back in the team. Evans has been in and out of the team. We know he's capable as a defender. He'll get a significant role behind the ball, I would have thought. And then you look at Carlton, Boyd and two youngsters in Wilson and Flynn Young, who I don't know much about. And Lewis Young's come in probably to give some sort of size in front of the ball to make Aliir, Radaglia, and also Zirk Thatcher some challenges in front of the ball.
Which way are you going?
I'm tipping Port, just if you're tipping, but if I'm betting, I'll be backing Carlton because the odds sway me. I won't be getting any investment in the game at all. These both teams have really struggled to hit the scoreboard, so for those punters that want to have a bet, maybe the unders, it'll be the way to go.
Okay, Friday night, 5:40, Sydney at 2:35. They've been easy, 2:28 out, and Western Bulldogs into $1.60. SCG 5:40 tomorrow night, line 8.5. Total match 170.5.
Yeah, I just keep coming back to the Western Bulldogs, particularly with Sam Darcy back in the team. Bontempelli starting to get really match hardened. I thought he was superb last week with his 36 and kick 3. And the Western Bulldogs, the SCG holds no concern for them. They generally travel there, play strong footy, and I reckon the $1.60 is a pretty good odds bet when you put them in a multi, to be honest with you, Marty. Treloar's out, obviously. He's got some issues with the calf, third time he's done it for a year. We know he won't play, but they're pretty settled in terms of their environment. And then you look at Sydney, had a good win last week. What will the coach do? And in Cox, will he make some changes? He's got some really experienced players that went around at VFL level last week. Jakey Lloyd had 39, and Ollie Florent got his hands on the ball finally and had 27. And young Caden Cleary, I know they rate highly, had 31 as well. And there's a young boy that I've got a lot of admiration for, saw him play at the Northern Knights last year, young Jesse Detoli. I reckon he's going to be a power forward of the future. He might be given a chance in due time. Probably not this week, but write his name down. He's not a bad young player, so I'm expecting him to get the game with the Sydney Swans at the back end of the year. But I'm tipping the Bulldogs. I think they'll win and win well.
I haven't mind the form of a young fella who's played a few games from this year, Angus Sheldrick.
Yeah, he's tough inside. They've got high expectations with Sheldrick. Sometimes he's a bit sloppy with his disposal when under pressure. He's a bash and crash type. He's probably a younger version of a Taylor Adams in a way, but he'll make the grade. He just needs a lot of match minutes and to play with the likes of Heaney and Goulden and Rowbottom and Warner, these types of boys around the middle. They're only going to fast-track his progress.
Well, you're moving the markets over here, Mick. Our listeners are diving in as since we've been speaking to you. The Bulldogs into $1.58 now, so there's been a bit of money in from the 160. Mick, I'm interested, given you've had such a long and decorated career as a coach yourself, how you would approach what transpired with Joel Marty and his clear lack of confidence in front of goal stemming from last week's performance. We know he kicked the 6 behinds and 2 out on the full as well. How would you go about approaching that through this week in the build-up to tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I've got a pretty simple philosophy around that, to be honest with you, Riley. Knowing full well that confidence is a natural fluctuating thing. Some moments you don't look like missing. You did kick 9 goals at that same very arena last year, if we remember. So you don't lose your talent. Sometimes you lose your routine or lose your confidence in doing what you know works. So you just got to show some vision, maybe have a look at the positive stuff that he did 12 months ago when he kicked 9 straight. Was there a difference in routine? Was there a difference in his approach to goal? And maybe highlight that and then go out and work with it. What I don't want is to have 15 different coaches in his ear and teammates in his ear to try to correct the wrongs. That's when confusion generally becomes a part of a player. We've seen over history of time, Chris Grant went through it years ago with the Western Bulldogs. They were called the Yips. In front of goal, he couldn't kick a goal, but he's a beautiful field kick. Sometimes you just got to come back to what you know and then just train it and get out in the training track. Don't worry about the times spent. When it comes to sports science nowadays, kicking goals is a point of difference. I've always felt conversion is one of the most underrated statistics in the game. Not many people talk about it. And in his case, he missed shots at goal that he should have kicked, and then it's about getting back on the deck, get to work. Sweat comes for free. At the end of the day, you've got to do the work to make sure you overcome the lack of confidence you got.
It's never been more valuable, Mick. The powers that be tell us accuracy in front of goal.
25% up, isn't it?
Season.
Last year, yeah.
So it's certainly a massive, massive factor regarding where a number of these teams, or how many wins a number of these teams are going to come away with at the end of the home and away season as they make their finals tilts. The first of these Saturday games, Mick, is going to be a beauty. I'm expecting a fresh Melbourne to come out firing here. They take on Gold Coast. The Suns are $1.38 favourites. The D's at 3.05. The line at 17.5 and the total points 171.5.
Yeah, as good as they were for huge periods of the game, Gold Coast, I reckon they'd be smarting about their loss. They did a lot right. They couldn't seal the deal late. They just allowed GWS with a lot of less entries to score so efficiently and win that game last week. You know, to jump into the game, have 13 shots at goal, to kick 7-6 on the road was a delight to see, but they still lost the game. So I think they'll hit the ground running. I think they'll be too quick, too good for Melbourne. Melbourne will be competitive. They'll hang on for a huge period, but I don't think they've got the scoring power to kick a winning score against Gold Coast, who defensively, based on their defensive 18-man structure, are really hard to move the ball against. And we know Melbourne at the best of times struggle for the mid to forward connection. That'll be challenged this week, the way Gold Coast set up the ground. And on the back of those turnovers they'll create, I'm anticipating them to go back at speed to an efficient front half and hit the scoreboard and win this game pretty well at home.
Okay, we go to our Saturday afternoon game at 2:15. Hawthorn and North Melbourne down at Launceston. They're $1.14. Hawks North $5.50. Line at 32.5 and total match 157.5.
Yeah, well, what do they do with the selection table? The Hawks, Sam Mitchell's got some really good talented players probably available. I haven't heard whether Sicily has got through the boxes he had to jump and get the tick of approval. If he's right, he'll play. Warple's another one, should return. Mitch Lewis, great news around him. He'll play VFL against North on managed minutes on the weekend, then probably Sandy the next week. So he's not far away from being an inclusion into the Hawthorn forward line, and that could be timely. And they're coming up against a team that's really improved dramatically in the last just under 2 months of footy with their defensive profile. Collingwood got them in offence. They scored over 100 points, but over the other 6 matches they've played out of the 7 contests they've been involved in, they've kept their opposition to low scores. So they're going really, really well at the moment. And I think Hawthorn love Tassie, play strong footy there. And at the end of the day, I think they should be too good against an improving North Melbourne.
Could be one you could chuck in one of those multis as well at that price, the $1.14, but the Hawks to get the job done where they play a very good football down in Tassie. Not much of a market for this one Saturday night, Mick. The Pies taking on West Coast. Collingwood $1.01 over here with Tab Touch, and West Coast are at $14. The line at 60.5 points, and the total points 171.5.
Yeah, well, Collingwood will make a couple of changes, obviously. They have to. Charlie West will come in. We know that. Charlie Dean will play. Frampton will most likely miss. McCreary definitely miss. But I'm hearing that Maynard's not ready. So I think Collingwood, obviously with mostly a settled environment, should be too good, too experienced against West Coast Eagles, who are showing improvement in a lot of areas, but I don't think they'll be good enough to actually challenge Collingwood. They'll struggle to score against the Pies, I would have thought. So Collingwood, I think, you can't back them head-to-head. There's no margin in that. Maybe the points could be an option, because if they get hold of the West Coast for a period of time, you know Collingwood could score quickly. If they happen to put consecutive goals on them, the game could well and truly open up. So I'm anticipating the Pies to win and win pretty comprehensively.
They might score 171 points themselves.
I don't know whether I'll get that much. If they do, it'd be fantastic for the Pies offence, but maybe the overs, 170, 120 to 50 or something like that. That could be a real possibility.
Yeah, I'm just very glass half empty at the moment, Mick. Don't mind me. Two Sunday games to look forward to. Richmond taking on the Crows. Richmond 675. The Crows at 111. The line at 37.5 points, and the total points 172.5.
Yeah, well, if the weather's fine, and let's wait till Sunday because it's a moving beast over here in Victoria at the moment, particularly in Melbourne. You go to one spot in Melbourne, you drive 20 kilometres later, there's some sun, then you drive another 20 kilometres and cross Melbourne and there's a deluge of rain. So wait till the last minute, see what the weather looks like. If it's a fine day where both teams will really attack it, I think Adelaide's offence will be far too powerful for Richmond's defence. And this team, with the potency they got, they're capable of kicking 130, 140 points if they get the game on their terms. And I'm anticipating that to be the case. Richmond youngsters, they just look tired at the moment. You'd think Lawler will come back into the team. He's a good young player. Try to get him into some midfield minutes because he's the next part of their midfield group. They have to get in there. Blight will probably be included. Big game at VFL level last week where he took 14 marks, 27 disposals, and when you know you've got three really tall threats in front of the ball, he could be an answer to take away one of their strengths. And then you look at Adelaide, for example, Peatling comes back after suspension. Pedler might be the unlucky one to make way there. So they're pretty settled, the Crows. Are in good form. I reckon they're a team that really wants to play at the MCG. We know they smashed Essendon early in the year. They just got beat to Collingwood there. And I reckon they'll use this as an experience to bode well for potential finals participation in September. So I think they'll win this game and win comprehensively.
Sorry, Marty. Mick, is that where you sit with the Crows overall, looking a bit more longer term? They currently sit in fourth position on the ladder with a 9-5 record. They were very wasteful against Hawthorn before their bye. You could mount a case they should probably be 10-4 had they executed and capitalised better down in Tassie. Do you expect the Crows to still be there in that top four come season's end?
I think it'll be close. I reckon the draw opens up for the Cats, so I reckon they're definitely going to be a part of top four. I think Brisbane won't relinquish their top two billing because they've got some real good winnable games at home. And Collingwood, they get over the top of this game of the weekend. They just put a margin on second and third, so they should be comfortable. And then you look at Hawthorn, if they get the job done against North, and then the Western Bulldogs, who I think are a fantastic footy team, they just need to put some games together. I'm anticipating them to win and win well this weekend. I reckon out of those three teams, that's who we're talking, who should fill the fourth spot. But right now, Adelaide are in the box seat, and as we know, they're very difficult to beat at home.
Another team trying to get up there into that top four of the Fremantle Dockers after Irving Wright. St Kilda, this could be a trappy game on Sunday. They're $1.26 the Dockers. St Kilda $3.85, 23.5 is the line, and total match 165.5. Weather looks all right over here, doesn't it, Riles, Sunday?
Yes, it does. Fine conditions for football on Sunday.
Yeah, I think Fremantle will get the job done. Pearce is likely to return, fellas. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
If he comes into the team, it obviously shores up their defence even more. What do they do from a ruck perspective? Jackson was absolutely sensational watching him last week. Do they go with their two ruck setup versus Rowan Marshall to put pressure on him? So that means Sean Darcy comes in the team, and O'Meara, I think he played his first ever game at Peel Thunder on the weekend, had 26-7 clearances. He's probably likely to come into the team at some stage. Whether it's 1 week short after his injury layoff, time will tell, but they've got three likely candidates to come into that team, which should make them stronger, and I think they'll be too good for the Saints. As much as they were pretty good against Pies for periods, Garcia probably comes into the team after a couple of strong weeks at VFL level. Last week he had 27, 14 clearances and 12 tackles, and that's an area of the game that Ross Lyon wants to bolster up, so maybe you roll the dice for the young kid to give him great experience against Sarong and Brayshaw. And then you've got Liam Henry, who kicked a couple of goals, didn't get a lot of the footy. But in saying that, he's got AFL attributes, and maybe it's a time to bring him back into the team to give him some sort of centre forward creativity and ball use going inside forward 50.
Hasn't he been on the outer this year?
He certainly has, after being right on the inner sanctum there last year.
Yeah, well, he has, and I don't know whether it's injury or it's attitude or it's lack of competitiveness, because let's face it, Ross wants blokes to buy into what they do without the ball just as much as they do with when they've got the ball. We know Henry's a fantastic player when he's got the ball in hand, But maybe he just needs to get to work and prove to Ross and his teammates that he needs to do the work without it. Not dissimilar to Tim Kelly at West Coast Eagles, and that's the reason why he got dropped earlier in the year.
Mick, do we have a multi for the listeners to follow over the course of this coming round of AFL action?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different, to be honest with you, Riley. Zach Butters tonight's game, I reckon he'll get 25 disposals plus. It's around the $1.50 mark. Adam Sard, I reckon he'll bounce out of defence because I reckon they'll try to get some run and carry out of that Port Adelaide Ford 50. Sard 20 plus. That's around $2.40. So I'm banking on him to be a part of me multi. Western Bulldogs to win head-to-head. Now they're into $1.58, you said. Nick Dankz, I just don't think they've got a match-up for him with his speed and power and endurance. 30-plus disposals. I'm expecting Dankz to have a big one. That's around $1.66. And then Caleb Sarong, I'm going to put all my money hopefully invested for him to seal out the multi. 25 disposals plus. Nice little insurance lifter at $1.14. That gives you around $10.70 your money. So I think that's a worthwhile multi. A little bit different from a head-to-head or
good on you.
Line betting perspective. I just want to go the possession route this week and might be a point of difference.
Hey, Mick, one off the text line from Geordie, and I know you don't love talking about the young fella, but Geordie says he's noticed that Tom McGuane, your son, has been playing more half-forward for his team in recent weeks. Is that the Collingwood Football Club potentially wanting him to work on that position and his craft if and when he's available to be drafted, as he has been playing some very good football through the midfield over the last 12 to 18 months?
I'm not 100% sure, but they haven't said nothing to me or something directly to Tom. I don't know whether it's Vic Metro, coaching staff in consultation with Collingwood, knowing full well that he can accumulate the footy as a midfielder, but obviously with his size and his youth and his age, if they think you get him into the AFL system at draft time, maybe they're contemplating to get him to be a midfielder. A winger or a half forward, which is playing those sort of certain roles at the moment. Yep. So I think we'll see over time. But at the moment, he had 24 last week playing in that new role. He ran the highest kilometres in the game that he's done so far as a high half forward coming up. And his top speed was the best it's been for the year, obviously with more space to work in. So his GPS data was really positive. He got the ball in good spots, watched him closely. They had three players rolling through him fairly heavily to take away his time and space, but he handled that pretty well, I thought, from a dad's perspective, but also looking at the game from a coaching angle.
Great to hear, young Tom. Right, Kilmore Trots, we've already had the first. Have you got a winner for us after this?
The bet of the night there is race 2, number 10. It'll just win. It's flying this trotter. First up went super. It's around $1.75. I'd be certainly entertaining it in a multi with whatever your best of the round might be in footy. The rest of the night's pretty tough, to be honest with you, Marty. Race 3 on the program, there's not much value there. I thought the winner would come from Russell Jack's horse, number 7, with Tasman Potter to drive. They bet about 280 this morning. I'd anticipate that'll start closer to sort of 210, 220. Yeah. So I thought it'd be very hard to beat despite its outside draw. And then in race 5, I thought in race 5 there was a couple of horses of interest there. Number 2, what's the money for it? If it arrives, it could be winning with Stevie Matson to drive. We know he loves a bet, but I'm not sure whether this is its race. There's 2 horses I want to back there. I want to back number 6 because it might find the top, which is the Kansas for Leilani Justice. And I reckon it's around $4, which I think's overs. I reckon it'll trim up even though it's been on the blows. And there's another horse there that represents good value. That's Jack Wall's horse, number 9, Ronzel Sunny, around $9. So in race 5 on the program, the first leg of the quaddie, I reckon you can back 6 and 9, both making winners. Yep. And then in the last race, take a trifecta. I think we'll get it for a snack. There's a $1.06 chance it'll just win, go Mickey. Take it to win, 7 to run second. 2 and 7 to run second, and take the field for third, and I think you might be able to get a result.
Beautifully done, Mick McGuane, brought to us by Dankz Furniture, the comfort of home. We'll do it again next week. Mick, you enjoy the footy tonight, and best of luck with your boys, Keylor, as well on the weekend.
Good on you, Riley. Look after yourself, Marty.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. There he goes, Mick McGuane.
McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Mickey McGuane, goal of the year.
Mick McGuane joins us on Straight Up for this AFL preview thanks to Dankz Furniture.
You won't see better than that.
With 6 local stores in the metro area, there's one near you.
The Perth Racing Preview is where the Straight Up team finds you the winners, and here's the Straight Up team with their preview of Saturday racing from Ascot.
Well, that'll do. 20 minutes away from 4 o'clock. You're listening to Straight Up, and Riley, look who's here, the mauler.
Unprecedented scenes in here, Mark.
Says David Shaw.
Hello, boys.
The package has just posted his way into the studios as well.
Well, he heard I was here.
Okay.
He looks well.
Come in to say hello. Hello, Pete.
He looks very well.
Yeah, unprecedented scenes, as David Short just said in one of the texts.
This will light up the text line.
I wish I'd looked that well in Kalgoorlie on the weekend, I'll tell you.
We're going to get your best story from the Goldfields soon, but the text line Retrovision, but it is sponsored by the Mundaring Hotel.
It is.
Our great mate.
I'm sure many a punter will be stopping in on the way back from the doubleheader at Northam this afternoon.
I can tell you and I'll tell this to the butcher, last week's winner from Fremantle has said that he's going to the next Northern meeting using that voucher which I sent him today, and he'll be having a good time on the way home.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
One off the text line from Elvis. Hi guys, Elvis here. I think you'll like this one, Mart. I love backing the AFL in multis, but a lot of the one-sided teams who are really short isn't value. I believe the line is also difficult in multis, so I would like to share with your listeners that I've now started picking my own line. Much fairer to my bets, and my success rate has improved massively. Instead of taking the line price of $1.90,
yes,
I go in between and you get a fairer price and you can multi them up. It's hard to beat the bookies. There's many markets in there to make our lives easier. Good luck to anyone who switches to this method.
Yeah, no, it works well. Wesley John was a big advocate of it and still is. Like, I think North can, if you boost that line up against Hawthorn,
I agree.
They can get inside of that one.
It's the one that pricked my attention.
Yes, talking about Mauler, concentrate. What's your best story from? There'd be a litany of them from the Goldfields. You went up there, you hit the town running last Friday.
On the Monday night, after the Publicans pub crawl with Higo and the ex-coppers and our crew.
They're always coppers, mate.
We'd done 12 pubs, 15 or 16 pints. We've gone into the Palace. Responsibly, of course. We've gone into the Palace.
Yep.
For everyone flying home to get their luggage out of my room. And my phone's flat, so I've put it on charge.
At least you had it.
Under the bar. And about 11:30 Monday night, after going back up to Tom Percy's mum's old pub and having dinner, I got dropped off outside the Palace and I went into my room and I lay down and went to sleep. And I woke up and I couldn't find my phone.
Again?
So Tuesday morning we're about to drive home. Massive scramble. Can't find the phone here, can't find it there. Using my iPad to text people. And anyway, can't find it. I'm thinking, okay, halfway home, I'm going to borrow my mate's phone, ring work, get me another phone and a SIM card ready. I'm on my way. And we're just outside Kalgoorlie. And the lovely lady, Helene, from the Palace that works for Ashok, she's a ripper if you're ever going up there and you need to book accommodation. She rings the bloke with me and says, "Are you with Brad?" And he says, "Yes." She said, "I've got his phone. It was under the bar."
There you go.
They'd put it on charge and it never came back.
There you go.
You need to start wearing it, I think, Brad, like a lanyard. Like you just wear it.
Lanyard phone.
It's attached to you.
And that's the mild story, Martin.
Now, I want to ask you, you mentioned about Joan Percy's old hotel, the Federal Hotel, that's reopened up on the Goldfields. What's it like?
It's not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the Higo crew had a bit of lunch there on the Saturday as we were transitioning around the town, sharing the wealth. And myself and the last bloke standing after everyone flew home Monday night, we had dinner up there Monday night. So, yeah, no, it was food's good. Yeah, no, it's not a bad place.
The Feddy's back.
Tats is my home ground, as you know.
One off the text line. We've heard this story 32 times before, Shorty. Can we speed the next one up a little bit? Only special children need lanyards.
Thank you, Tim, on the text line.
Yeah, that'd be Peng from the text line there.
Yeah, one from, hi guys, do you have confirmation the mall is allowed in such close proximity to a school? Cheers from the Australian Federal Police.
I live near a school. I'll be right.
The text line's going off here.
Oh, that's good for the Mundaring Hotel. That's where you need to be with the butcher and all the crew out there. What a place. What a place to go and have a
I think, Marty, when I go in to the Tats Club meeting,
yes,
I'll stop on the way up and the way back.
The Tats Club Cup meeting. You're going up for that, are you?
Going up for that.
Wow.
You'd be tagging along, surely.
Well, we're doing drive from the Tats Club.
Oh, stop it.
On Friday night.
That's why I'm going
Russell
up,
Collette.
Riley.
Wow.
It's
Putting the
gonna be a
band back
beauty.
together.
All right, let's have a look at Pinjarra racing on Saturday. Now, the weather's going to be absolutely beautiful, like a 28 and sunny. Thank you very much. Is it 28? What have I got? 21. 21 and sunny. And the rail's at 2 metres. Are we finding the leaders here?
I think
Definitely leaders day.
Wow, there it is.
Well, there it is.
There you have it.
That's
There you have it, punters.
That's from the man who normally sits in that seat, isn't it?
Well, on that theory, Mart, find the leaders, martsmaps.com,
Yeah, yep.
and find 8 winners. It's that easy.
Well, we'll get into it. Race number 1, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap over that 1,000 metres, and Lord Shiva 219 to 245, but has to jump from barrier 1. Let's Talk, on the other hand, is jumping from barrier 10. It's $3.30 into $3. Paddy's Flying is 19. Empress of India is 11 into 9. Go Grommet is 18. Frantic War is 26. Mia Gusto is 7. The Great Hoya is 18. Get Out Mick is 51. And if I didn't have a dime, $41. Riley, you better kick this into play.
Yeah, look, not a race I'm overly enthusiastic about to kick off proceedings on the weekend. Mart, I do think the market is pretty bang on with the 2 key chances here in Lord Shiva and Let's Talk. Lord Shiva just seems to have come back bigger and better this campaign, Marty. Does he lead from barrier 1?
Well, I think Let's Talk. Lactar would want to kick up from 10 and lead, wouldn't he?
They'll pair off on the outside fence, you'd anticipate.
It's a fair way to come across, isn't it, from 1 if you're going to concede? You've got to concede a bit of ground to get across there.
There's the Great Hoya, Frantic War, not slow horses, drawn closer to that outside fence than he is as well. So may have to do a little bit of work, but I do think Holly will eventually get him across and as close to that grandstand rail as possible. But yeah, he's clearly very well, and I think he's a better horse this time in for Mitch. Put on a galloping exhibition in Class 3 company last start, albeit didn't beat anything on that occasion, but it was more the manner in which he won that was impressive. He's now over a month between runs after being scratched in the conditions last weekend, which there were a few runners that were scratched for similar reasons. Mart, it's just something different. He's had a look down the straight previously. He's run well without winning. He's ran second down the straight when formerly with Adam Durant. I just think he's probably on his mark at 245. I'm not a huge fan of these straight track 1,000-metre events, but if I was to tip one on top, I'd be with Let's Talk, Marty, drawn closer to that grandstand fence than Lord Shiva. Scratched from a very winnable race today to save for this on the weekend. Thought was very good down the straight last start. Was just edged out by On Plein Air, who, as we know, really nice subsequent winner and prospector's pick. Drawn the right side, back in grade to a West Speed Platinum. I think it looks a nice race for Let's Talk as well, and there's currently a little bit more meat on the bone there, Marty. So no interest from me in the first, but Let's Talk would be the way I'd go.
Well, I didn't know Riley had my notes, but there you go. Look, Lord Shiva's Flying, it loves the distance, doesn't it? It loves the distance. It's had 9 starts for 7 checks over 5 furlongs. Probably the only query with it, I don't know how we'll go down the straight. I really don't know how to go down the straight. Let's Talk is definitely the next best. I agree with Riley. That third to prospector's pick On Plein Air, that's been franked, hasn't it? A month ago with On Plein Air winning last start. That's another one that likes the 5 furlongs, but I'll definitely be Lord Shiva over Let's Talk, as opposed to him being next talk. Let's Talk over Lord Shiva.
I'm going with you. I think Let's Talk can beat Lord Shiva. A little bit more value, but I'm not.
It'll be happening when it wins. Lord Shiva, you'll get a text
I
message.
get a text, straight away. Mauler.
Thank God.
Yeah, race 2. Now, this looks a pretty good race. The Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. Before we get into it, next week, punters, we will have a $100 voucher for the winner of the quaddie of the day. The old quaddie's back, and it's sponsored by the Dianella TAB.
Oh, the Dianella TAB it's on our Alexander Drive near the shop, just beyond the shopping centre there.
Correct way.
Next door where the pub used to be.
That's it.
What happened to Raph?
No, Rap's gone.
Oh.
Yes. He can't advertise anymore. He's got too many customers. He hasn't got enough meat to feed them. So the Dianella TAB, we're really looking forward to getting involved with the boys there. So it'll be the same way we did the multi as before, Riles. You can use the 4 method.
Yep.
But if someone uses less than that and gets it, then they'll be winning the $100
They will.
betting voucher there at the TAB Dianella. Now, I've got a little bit of...
Marty, question without notice. If you win the voucher, do you have to go and spend it at that TAB?
There, at that TAB, of course.
Well, that's nice and close to Metro Motors in Morley, so if I win it, I can just duck down and have something.
Cha-ching.
Hey, I learned it off him.
It's been there since 1981, the boys, located right outside Dianella Plaza. It's your one-stop shop for everything racing and sport. Come in, kick back, and catch all the live action in a spacious and comfortable setting. You know what it's like in there. Spacious and comfortable.
Spacious and comfortable.
Sounds good to me.
While you're there, have a yarn with John and Robert. They love a chat almost as much as they love a quaddie. This sounds like your sort of place. We'll see you soon at the Dianella.
I'll get down there once I can get rid of Joe. He's not big on popping into the tabs.
Certainly some quaddie legs on offer this weekend, Marty, you'll get a vast range of selections, I'd suggest. We've got one of the first leg.
Well, we're not kicking it off today.
No.
Next week.
But we're not kicking it off today.
No, I'm just warming them up, warming everyone up.
Okay,
Yep.
well, that answers the Pommy Pies text about whether the quaddie comp starts today.
No.
Sorry, Jim. You'll have to hold
next week
your horses
but have
for
a practice,
week.
Jim. Send in your quaddie, how you'd play it this
Get
week.
warm.
Warm yourself up.
As Marty said, you text, you get on. A trappy game. St Kilda are absolutely no hope. Freo are a living certainty.
All right.
Playing at home this weekend. That's from Peter. Like mixed multi, but I'd leave out Dacos. Fair chance you'll get some long rest periods and may even get subbed out. I'd take Jamie Elliott for 3 goals instead.
Is that Pete? Or
no,
someone
that's
else?
from the Pommy Pie again.
Okay.
Mixed multi. So Ron will get leather poisoning, won't he?
We'll get rid of Mick next week, get Jim Pommy Pie in and saves a bit of money.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
He can sit where I am.
Good afternoon, guys. No shock, McGinnity's missing in action. More meerkats going around than an insurance advertisement.
That's the clubhouse leader. Who's that?
Late. That's from Zach of Burswood, who's always
Zach.
very good with his contributions on a Thursday afternoon. And the Mauler's storytelling is about as good as his tipping. Must be bloody short this week to be handing him a Guernsey.
G'day, Duff.
You tip, you get on.
You tip, you get on. And one more we'll get to before we start off on race 2. Hi, Martin Riley. You mentioned a stat about sire Thorn Dancer last week. Was it 18 runners this season for 14 winners? No, I just think it's 18 runners in general. Overall have been to the races, and there's been 14 winners among those 18 runners. That statistic was provided to us last week, Purple Dogger, by the Butcher, the sponsor.
Yes, that
of
is
the
it.
Retrovision text line this afternoon on Straight Up. So that was one sent through by the Butcher, and 14 winners for 18 runners for Thorn Dancer as a sire.
Tell you what we're doing too, Butch. I'm going to grab hold of the Mauler a couple of Sundays' time, and we're going out there for a luncheon. I'll give you fair warning. Integra Insurance Brokers played over the 1200 at 119, and this is a number 1 Baby Pearl at 550. Drifts out from 460. Our Naughty Secret's 51. Monte Tremezzo is 10. Medusa 350 into 260. Aberdeen Flyers 550. Written Words 12. Cape Lewin is 19. Radiant Light is 31. Tactical Magic is into 26. LV is 14. Zali's Gift 14. Golden Grey 71. Search and Times, if it gets a run, the emergency is $20. Which way are you going here, Mauler? Come and open the batting.
Baby Pearl, there's a huge spruik on this horse.
It'll win.
It's second round, and I had a look at the race this morning, and on my own time, not Joe's, and it won easy enough. It was never, ever in doubt. It'll win again.
Yeah.
And I think it'll win again after that. It'll
just lead and win this, right?
It will lead and win. The drama's Medusa.
Yeah. Let's talk about Medusa.
Did you see it, Riley? Did you see its trial on the 26th of May?
I did.
It just swooped down the outside with no effort. No effort at all. And then it comes out and wins by 3 lengths at Northam after missing the kick by a length. It's, it's a good horse, but my money will be on Baby Pearl.
Now, what about this story that emanated off that win yesterday at Northam?
Yes.
Twisted Steel, wasn't it?
That was some win.
And apparently they'd worked together during the week and Twisted Steel had blown Medusa to the Shizen.
Pulled the pants down as I understand.
So what do we do with that? Well, it just means that Medusa's form's still relevant, doesn't it?
It does, to a degree. I think at the price, $2.60, I'm respecting of how dominant the win was visually, but I don't think he beat a great deal that day at Northam. I don't think there's any stars in behind Medusa on that occasion that he put away on that day. So I tend to think he's probably under the odds at the 260 at the moment. He did miss the kick there as well, and was just allowed the opportunity to muster through there along the fence. And there does look to be a lot more speed in this race, particularly drawn close to the fence as well. So if he was to be slow out of the machines, there's every chance he could end up 3 back the fence here, Mart, which would be a bit of a concern for mine. I echo your very confident sentiments regarding Baby Pearl. It was a pretty soft win at Bunbury, holding off Pure Excess. I thought he was also holding that filly on the line as well. Looks a really nice 2-year-old and should be able to lead here once again from barrier 1.
LV to come across, do you think?
Yes, I'd expect LV to come across. You've got a horse like
Wolfie's kick up?
We'll just try and hold a position. I'd suggest Marty. LV is the other speed in the race for sure. I am a big fan of Aberdeen Flyer, who I think looks a really, really nice horse. He's a big, strong type of a 2-year-old. He was luckless on debut, and you go back to that replay, and you could mount a case he should have beaten Medusa home on that occasion, and one horse goes around 260 here, and one other, because of the barrier, goes around at $5.50 over double the price that day. Then ran third behind Stride Away. Do I Feel Lucky? Was wide throughout from barrier 13 of 13. It was an incredibly good run to fight on the way he did with the run he had. I thought his recent trial was incredibly good. Was
three lengths at one by, it was easy.
And the time was really good as well. Was the trial of a horse that's come on and come back even bigger and better this time in. I think he's going to need a bit of luck from the gate, given he has drawn wide again, but I tend to think of what we've seen to date that there's a chance he's the best horse in the race. So at that each way price, I'd be inclined to tip Aberdeen Flyer on an each way basis as he gets the wobbles in the market here.
What about at a price? Zali's Gift.
Really good debut. Super run behind Baby Pearl, but the barrier hurts again for a horse that's likely to get back, but the rising trip is going to suit Zali's Gift, you'd suggest.
If you're having multis, you'd have to have it in.
And Lucy was pretty confident listening to her speak on radio about this filly leading into that meeting at Bunbury. She was pretty confident that she could win that race on debut. So that's clearly a pretty fair opinion of Zali's Gift behind the scenes as well.
But you're going with Aberdeen Flyer,
yes,
and
each way.
The maulers all over number 1 and Baby Pearl.
Baby Pearl.
Yep. Okay, let's go to race number 3. This is a tricky map race, this one. I've got a few ideas. We'll talk about it, courtesy of martnaps.com. The Tap Touch supports Pinjarra Park Handicap, and don't we all, over the 1,200, one to go at 154. Rock and Ori, a horse that you know pretty well, $61. You were mixed up with those Ori horses, weren't you?
That couldn't win this race if I got on it now and got going.
Repossession, they put up 290s. This boy's not here. 225. Sisu Warrior first up 20. Beads is 81. Hanchy. Gee, there's a tip for this. 750. Super Session is $7. Cool Memory 10 into 8. Melcar Pindari's 13. Snow Prince is 12. And Celestial Storm is $6. I thought it sort of cuts across. Does Cool Memory kick up from a soft draw? I'd like to see Brad Parnham get pretty aggressive with repossession and get it out of the barriers from that sort of middle draw. And if it happens to lead, it leads, or be close to it, Pretty hard to beat. I love the horse.
Yeah, as would I, Marty. I'd like Brad to come out positive to try and get across with repossession. It's an interesting little speed map to do, though. Cool Memory, I thought they'd be pretty intent to try and hold up in front from that low draw from barrier 2. Not sure that he's going to have the speed to do so. Celestial Storm's the quickest horse out of the barriers in this field, I would suggest, and you'd think Pike will be very aggressive to try and get her out and across from that wide draw. And there's a chance that she jumps better than a horse like Repossession, who hasn't always been the quickest animal out of the gates either, Marty. So there is a scenario where Repossession could just tag Celestial Storm across and fall into a position just tucked in behind the speed. But I do think if Brad, barring any bad luck early doors, and he was to get posted 3 deep, which I doubt is going to happen, I just think he's a very nice horse on the rise, this horse. He's an absolute weapon of a 3-year-old, really. He had no right to win with the dominance that he did last start with the run he had held up for as long as he was. It was an arrogant performance and smashed the clock down the straight as well, almost breaking 57 seconds. He now has to repeat the dose in open class, stepping up to 1,200 metres, but I don't think that's going to be of any issue for him whatsoever. Marty's had the one career run over the 1,200 in a placid arc, drew barrier 1, box seated a hot tempo. They went 7 lengths above average to the 600. They were rocking and rolling, and he was still there fighting out the finish. And it was a race that was set up for those horses that were midfield with a bit of cover to make their runs down the outside. So I can't see it being any issue off that. And with the form he's in, if he gets across, if he gets to the breeze or just tucks in behind the speed, I think he looks very hard to beat once again. Repossession.
You with Repossession?
My best bet of the day.
It has to be, doesn't it?
I went through the race and I tried to work out what could beat it.
Nothing.
I thought that the only dangers were Celestial Storm
Yes.
and Snow Prince.
Right.
No
And I
love for
thought-
Hanchy.
No Hanchy? No.
It tweaked my interest, but I thought that you can't pick them all, Marty.
No, that's a fair point.
You know, even I can't pick them all. So I'll be back in Repossession.
Yep.
I'll be having some sort of multi with Celestial Storm and Snow Prince. You know.
What
Maybe-
a same race multi.
No,
What are they
like
saying?
a try. You know.
Oh,
novelty,
okay.
Novelty.
I thought you were doing a same race multi.
Geez, a lot of love for Snow Prince from Brad, who I probably didn't think could win a race of this sort of depth first up, but I thought Hanchy was a danger, Marty. I loved his run last start behind Rich & Co. Thought he was probably a tad unlucky there not to have won. I think stepping up to 1,200 is going to be a big tick for this horse, who at his best is certainly good enough to be winning this. And another horse, or a couple of horses we haven't mentioned yet, Supersession, going super, this horse, this campaign.
Had a shocker last start, but before that it was going really close.
Yeah, well, last start, I don't think it had a shocker. It just didn't get any luck. Lucy Fury just couldn't find a run. The horse was travelling super at the back of the field. Once he got out, I thought he still hit the line pretty well, even though I think he's a horse that will be more effective stepping back to 1,200 metres this time around. And he was only a length adrift of Love and War in a 78 plus over 12 to start prior to that. That's really good form for a race of this depth, especially with a barrier as well. Supersession can win, and Cool Memory has reiterated he's a very good horse, especially fresh with a tough win, breezing outside Rich & Co. fresh, which certainly no mean feat. And think if Joey as a party can hold the top, if that was to be how this speed map eventuated, Marty, that Cool Memory will run you another big race as well.
Okay, was it the 1,400 Supersession back to 12?
Yes.
Mm.
Not a fan?
No, I'm just saying for the... I know it's held up, but I still think it's probably better off at 12 than 14.
Well, it's back to 12 this weekend. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying...
No,
better.
and to my learned friend here on the left, that's what you were... Was that where you were going to? Was it more the 14 than the 12?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right, so on top Repossession all round.
I didn't think Supersession showed a lot last start.
No,
I
okay,
wasn't
well,
worried
that's
about
your
the luck,
opinion. It's
but-
an opinions game.
On top
More.
for me, Marty, but I'm happy to hold tight for now from a betting perspective. I
What do you want?
I don't see much value at the 225.
What's value to you?
This is a good race.
Yeah,
There
what's
is
value to you though?
$3.
$3.
It'll be even money on Saturday.
$3. I'm happy
Even money on Saturday.
Evenings.
to let him through to the keeper in a race of this depth. at that price.
All right. Now, Retrovision and the Mundaring Hotel. How's that text line going? I'm sure the mall has lit it up by now.
We'll need half an hour to get through these, but we'll start off with McGinnity, who's not here because we can clip him and he can't retort. Brad McManus has had more misses on straight up lately than a blind darts player. Another week closer to AI then, but it's a shame as I do like the boy. That's from Greg L. So
Greg L. He's a fan.
He's a fan. Mick from Ellenbrook has sent in another one of his texter gags trying to win the $100 voucher. He's a big fan of yours, Marty.
Mick of Ellenbrook, yeah.
He's a big
What's
fan.
What's he had to say?
He's sent in a post-it note written with a big black texter, "Hey Marty, I'm the best texter," and spelt it like the texter that he's using.
That's not bad. I don't mind
It's a bit of humour. Unfortunately, we can't show you because we're on radio. But nice work, Mick.
They've got cameras in here. They never turn them on for straight up.
Well,
They turn them on for diggers.
Yeah. Oh, he's a star. He got his multi in yesterday.
He's on fire, diggers.
$5.75, I think it was.
The Pommy Pie sent in his warm-up quaddie.
Has he?
Next week.
No, we'll put that to wear.
Yeah.
That's going
you want
to
to go the numbers? We'll go the numbers.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Race
Yeah, go on.
5. Race 5. Let me just reiterate, this is a race that is $6 the field. He's only put in 2 horses. He's gone 8 and 10. Yep. And then race 6, 6 and 12. Race 7, 3, 7 and 10. And race 8, 4, 5 and 12. The Pommy Pies quaddie this weekend.
That's just the warm-up for next week.
I'm going to have that. I've written it down. I'm going to put it on.
All right. For the Dinella.
With cold hard.
The Dinella
I might even go into
TAB.
the Dinella and have it.
Now, Northern race number 7 is only 4 and a bit away. This is the DiPatoli family winemakers. They make some of the best wines. DiPatoli, 1401. Manzor Magic is a big drifter at the 26. What do you got?
One of our listeners off the text line, Marty, says, "Hi, boys. When you get Richie down the line, can you ask him what the name of the second horse in race 1 was?"
He had a few goes at it.
Did he? I missed it, so...
He got me last week for a shin, didn't he? Oi, shin. Oh, shin.
Boys in.
Apparently there were a few variations of the second horse in race 1 at Northam today.
Number 2, there's about 3 texts have come in on that. Number 2 is Etu.
There's never been a better time than now to stop what you're doing and tune in to Straight Up, TAB Radio's weekly podcast that will guide you through the difficult journey that is the punt. Whether it be racing or sport, the Straight Up team has your back. Now, from the studios of TAB Radio, welcome to Straight Up.
Yes, welcome back, TJ. Thank you very much. What about for the Mundaring Hotel?
Good afternoon, boys. Duppy here. I hope the Mauler's health is okay. One can only assume he has got on air from the Starlight Make-A-Wish Foundation this afternoon. Very short memory from you lot after I spanked him multiple weeks in a row. And to top it off, I'm still waiting for a box of swans that I never received. If he's setting up for leaders this weekend, then I'm setting up for #swoopers.
You never paid the dup.
I don't know how to get hold of him. But I'll tell you what, Duff, I'm going to get your number off Riley when the show finishes, and I'm going to send you a text message tomorrow. I'll get you a nice box of Frosty Cole Swanee D's, and if we can meet somewhere to hand it over... If there's a place of imbibement, I might even throw in a pint as well.
That'll be that'd be box office.
My apologies
you
for
can count me in.
Yeah.
I'll sit at the table next door and just spectate.
And I'm sure if we could do it on a Monday or Tuesday, Martin would join us as well.
Yeah, he certainly would.
Duff, I'm not a non-payer, and
No,
Martin
he's
will
not.
attest to that.
Yeah.
So I will get you sorted out, mate.
Yeah, that is for sure.
And I hope you tip I hope you tip very poorly this weekend.
Yeah, Tom from Como says, "Hey boys, can you ask the Mauler for me how Hostile Talk is going and if it's still on track for that railway stakes?"
Hey, don't forget our listeners.
Obviously,
That was 12 months ago, wasn't it?
Are the best
obviously a
at keeping
long-time
receipts.
listener.
First-time texter.
Yeah.
He doesn't text much, Tom, so he's pulled the trigger this afternoon because that's just been
gold.
stored front of mind.
That's over 12 months, isn't it?
Oh, that's incredible.
That'd be longer than 12 months ago. That's a great call.
That's a good get.
Okay, let's have a look at race number 4, Pinjarra, and this is when it starts to get a bit harder over the 1,600 metres. Snazzler, 12 into 11. Rudia, 81. Cosmic Chaos is 19. Romeo, 18. More Than Enough at 15. Arcadia Park is 6. Mojo's Luck just tickled into 23 from 31. Amjad is 11. Little Capri is 10. Rally the Troops, 11 into 950. Our Paladin Owl is 480 to 350. Bondi Bay is 12. My Idol is 16 into 14. No Pia at 71. Rosie Can Run 41. Found the map a bit tricky here. I had Amjad going forward from 11, even though it's not really Fisher's go to go forward. How did you look at it, Riles?
I thought Amjad would push forward, try and get across. More Than Enough, a horse I thought could push forward with a bit of intent and really try and roll for our old mate SJ Miller. Snazzler holds a spot. Rally the Troops, box seats from barrier 1. Could see Romeo roll forward. Rudyard, if it begins with Alex Hearn booked. He's a very positive jockey, but yeah, tricky speed, Matt.
Yep.
I'm a massive Wooly Pike fan, and I'm a massive
Notice that.
Little Capri fan. The problem with Little Capri, it's won 3 times from 12. I got more chance of catching a coal than catching it. I'm going to take both the Bob Peters runners. The interesting thing I thought was that CJP has jumped onto Arcadia Park. Paddy's staying on My Idol, but I would have thought CJP probably would have got the choice.
Do they get a choice, or does
Bob just tell them?
I think the latter, isn't it?
I think Clint would get the choice.
Would he? Okay.
Yes, I think Clint gets the pick of the litter.
Righto. So he's pulled on barrier 15.
But I'm going to back them both.
Okay. No, I did that last week in the last. Worked out beautifully. I didn't take the Quidella, though. Not that smart.
Could you take a photo of the tickets and send it to us?
Your thoughts here, Riles?
Happy to back a couple here, Marty, both at odds. I do really like our Paladin Owl as a horse.
Yep.
He's a very progressive type, but I just think he's under the odds at that price. Coming out of Class 3 company, and the format of that last start win held up pretty terribly, to be honest, on Wednesday. None of those horses really gave a yelp subsequently, so there's a bit of a knock on the form reference. He's going to get a long way back from the gate. I really like the horse, but this is a lot deeper than that race, and that price is short enough for me, so I do think there's a bit of value around the favourite here with our Paladin Owl. I'm having something on Rally the Troops, gentlemen, for Tash Faithful, Dan and Ben Pearce. I thought you could be very forgiving of his last start effort there over the 1,400 metres at Bunbury. He was just a little bit slow out of the barriers, ended up in a very awkward spot at the back of the field, never looked comfortable in a muddlingly run race where a lot of horses that were back were just getting very keen and fighting the jockey, Marty, and thought that the manner in which once he was able to just get that flowing run into the race and Tash was able to let go of him, I thought he hit the line quite nicely over the concluding stages, despite never being a factor in the race with the run he had. I think he can box seat from barrier 1 here up to 1,600 metres. This isn't an overly strong race, and I think his runs prior to that in 3-year-old company were both wins were very good, and you don't need to go too deep into the form. Ran past Patron Express the start prior to that, who ran 4th in a raconteur stakes, Marty. So I think that's pretty good form, and from barrier 1 saves all the ground there. So Rally the Troops, an easy bet for me at the double figure odds, and going to have something on Snazzler as well, who I thought was terrific last start in a very strong run. 1690 behind Famous Dane and Lord Gannicus. Never got cover in the run and was still really getting to the line nicely late in 66 plus company. Gets a lovely map from barrier 5, can roll forward, and Jared Noski has options to either take up the lead if nothing else wants to, or taking the sit in behind the speed, much like he did last start. Backing grade to a graduation. I think double figures for Snazzler looks a big price as well. So they're the two. I'm happy to back it double figure odds and make it a little Dutch play here in a very open race.
Which way are you going?
I'm going to back both the Peters runners, Arcadia Park and My Idol, but I'm pretty sure that Little Capri will win and pinch me money again.
Just on this domination of these Peters horses at Pinjarra of late, they've been on fire.
Do you think?
At Pinjarra. Soft 5, do you think that'll be up to a 4?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Do you think the dominance has been the track or the conditions?
I think combination of both.
It's a fair comment.
It's a sort of a home track for Mickey G, isn't it?
What about combination of Mickey G and Bob and young Liam just liaising and just...
And they're all going well.
They can't... They haven't gone that... They haven't gone good, have they? You know? And they can't go that bad for that long. They were always going to come back and
well, they got some
fire.
nice horses now.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
I think their best horses racing on Saturday. We'll come to that when we get to that race.
Well, there you
all
go.
right. Now, this
just quickly.
Hang on. Just before we go to you, the boys at the Dianella, we're going to see how good at tipsters they are because they're throwing out one in this, our Paladin L, and making it their best of the day there. Wow. So we'll get a feel for their tipping prowess. What have you got for us?
Now, just quickly, Riley, who was the beloved listener that chimed in about hostile talk?
That was Tommy from Como.
All right, well, Tommy from Como, just between you and me and nobody else, there'll be no one else listening right now. Hostile talk is trialling in race 6 on Monday, and they're preparing it for its summer campaign. It'll be a long campaign. I'm not sure if it'll be going to group status, but I've got my fingers crossed for the owners.
There you go,
Tommy.
You heard it first, Tommy.
Well, the dream's still alive.
Yeah, the dream is still alive. So this is the first leg of what's going to be the Dianella TAB Quaddie. And it's another big field, interesting race. Let's have a look at the markets telling us here in race number 5, which is the Tab Touch Place, a same race multi-handicap. Got to get into these same race multis. I think they're starting to interest me a bit. You any good at them?
Not much of a dabbler.
No, I've yet to have a go. What about yourself?
I've had a go, no good.
Okay, well, we've got to improve. Decoration, 41. Cross Statement, 31. Simply Thinking, 13 into 950. 4 is Thermosphere Ladders, 10. 5 is Boab Boy, 16. Romming Danger, 34. History Won't Care, 850 into 6. Then we go to number 8, Cruise to Victory, 23. Number 9 is Lombardina, 750. 10, En Plein Air is 650. 11, Stippy Short is 14. 12, Regal Service, 750. Uncle Gerard is 17. God's Gate, 12 from 18. Red Dwarf is 126. Run Patty Runners, 21. And their emergencies, King of Feed is the first of them at 34. Mr. Raffles is our second emergency, also at $34. Geez, the map, I've got Cross Statement from 10 coming across. Also, God's Gate comes across with him for Lactar and Neville. Kicking up inside of them will be Thermosphere Lad on their outside, and also Boab Boy on the outside coming across. So you've got a bit of pace drawn wide here, Riles.
No shortage of speed in this one, Mart.
No.
There is plenty of it, and I would anticipate that they are going to get along at a very solid gallop throughout. So the speed will be on and could set up for something, Marty, that has a bit of cover 3 deep blending into the race. And I like one on an each-way basis here, Marty, a horse I've had a big opinion of all through this campaign, and that's Regal Service for the Cerise and White. And I guess some might be, I guess... There may be some red flags because Clint Johnson-Porter has opted to stick with History Won't Care, our current favourite, and hopped off. But it's always hard to hop off a nice horse that you won on last start as opposed to a horse that you didn't win on and ran second on. So it obviously makes that decision a lot harder for Clint. But I think at the price, it's an easy each-way bet for me. He meets... On Plein Air, 1.5 kilos better, and I thought he was as good a run than On Plein Air last start. I've always really liked him as a horse. Blinkers first time, back up to 1,300 metres after dropping back in distance, which I didn't think suited him last start. Marty was a massive tick with how he performed, and I think the speed profile of this race suits him down to the ground to be able to just blend in midfield with some cover. They'll get along at a really strong gallop, and I think this is a really lightly raced, progressive 4-year-old, impeccably bred as well, Mart, and that's $7.50. You're almost getting $3 a place about this horse on the weekend. I think that's a very nice each-way play. You could make you can make genuine cases for numerous runners in this one. History Won't Care has always shown the ability enough to be a genuine Saturday horse without being able to put it all together yet for a preparation. I do like how this race sets up for a horse like him as well, with the amount of speed engaged. It is a likeable setup, but I am just wary he's been unable to reproduce his fresh form second run back each preparation in his career to date. That's just something to keep in mind. On plein air, terrifically tough mare. Great win last start. Enjoys a very similar run in transit here from the box seat. And Lombardina, they do not trial any better than her leading into her first up run here, and she went to another level last campaign and should lob into a beautiful spot in running from barrier 3 behind what looks to be a really strong speed.
Well, the on plein air form has been franked, hasn't it? You know, the second the prospectors pick a month ago, it's come out. That win a couple of weeks ago was breathtaking. The way it just sliced up the middle caught my eye to snatch victory. But I reckon if they'd gone another 100 in that race, which they are in this race, Regal Service just wins and wins easy. I'll be on Regal Service. There's a number of them, as Rylie just said. If you get beat, you're going to look back and go, oh, yeah, I could have backed that, or I could have backed that, or I could have backed that.
Name some.
Lombardina.
Yeah.
Thermosphere.
Yep.
History Won't Care. How many more do you want? There's 4 or 5 of them. That if they won, you couldn't have a snout on your money. You'd have to say, yeah, I could have had that. I might have. You've probably had it to run second or third in your try. Or
So you can back Regal Service each way?
Yes.
Very much
and
so.
That's what I'll be doing.
Used to
Duff,
joined at the hip.
If you're listening, I've got Regal Service. You can have the field.
Wow, there's a bit of confidence. First leg, that is the first leg of the quaddie, race number 5. Tab Touch plays the same race, multi-handicap. And boys here, very confident. Regal Service at $7.50. Going to play a big part for the Mundaring Hotel for our man, the Butcher, and Joanne out there at the Mundaring. What do we got, Riles, anything?
The Butcher Man. We love the Butcher Man. Couple off the text line here. Greg L needs me to find him some value to multi up with Catch a Wave at Melton.
Oh, yes.
Apparently,
it's a living. We threw that out last night.
It's a living.
$1.40 this morning.
$1.40, was it?
Stranger things have happened, Mark. And he says, beers are on the line if you get us over the line. So...
Who was that from?
That's from Greg L. So I'll be holding him to that if we can find a bit of value there, Greg. But I will side up with the mauler here. I think the best each-way value on the program on Saturday is Regal Service in the first leg of the quaddie. Now, Glenn from Fremantle getting in some practice again for the quaddie on Thursday. Arvo, as always, an orgy of speculation here. Race 5, 1, 7 and 14 are his numbers. Race 6, 3, 6 and 12. Race 7, 2 and 7. And race 8, 7, 8 and 11 for Glenn from Freo, who I'm sure will be playing a big part in those quaddie comps.
He's our last week's winner.
Well, if we were playing live, only one of them's got it.
Yeah.
Now, again, we are on radio, so I can't share this with our listeners, but Zach from Burswood has sent this in, just sending McGinnity's best wishes in his recovery. And sent in this photo of...
Oh, he looks good too. The meerkat himself.
The meerkat himself.
We should put that on socials.
I'll chuck this one on.
Yeah.
You know what? I will do that. I will chuck this on the socials for our listeners to enjoy. But basically, it's McGinnity in his natural habitat. It's a great AI-generated photo. Hi, fellas. Can Ross the Boss derail the Dockers' plan of sneaking into the top 4, or will JL secure his team's finals dream? Should be a cracking battle. And what are your thoughts on a Colin Webster double on Saturday at Pinjarra with Baby Pearl and Woburn Gold? 35-1 for the double. That's from Brett Wolfe Jr.
Yeah, Wolfie, a very good afternoon to you as well. Great to hear from you that you're listening in. And I'm with you. But let's move on to race 6. The Murray Veterinary Services handicap over the 1200, time to go 3:45. And one is Bay Z is 41, 2 Outspoken Lad 41, 3 Sunny Honey is 18, 4 Tycoon Harry 23, 5 Capricorn Man 34, 6 My Hidden Universe 7 into 550, 7 Celebrity Princess 20, 8 Massamunes 13 from 14, 9 Objectify 9 to 850, 10 Horcrux 650 to 440, 11 Mars Mission 101, 12, Want a Winner into 350 from 4. 13, Jelly Can Run as 21. 14, Supernatural is a $12 chance. And then we get to the emergencies here in race number 6. You always make me laugh when you start chuckling. Riles.
We've got some very funny listeners, Mart. Let's just say that.
I've got My Hidden Universe out there in 16, having to cut across for Brandon Louis. Horcrux from 6 to kick up. Want a Winner or Want to Hold a Spot. The Great Hoya, that's going to be in an earlier race, won't get a run here, but it's a horse who likes to get into a forward position as well. Yeah, that's about it.
I'd say that's pretty close to bang on, Marty. Any
thoughts there?
Any thoughts there, big fella?
The interesting thing in this race is Horcrux. Is that how you say
well
it?
backed, 650 into 440.
That is how you say it.
Now, that was owned by a opposition corporate bookmaker for some time.
Right.
Yes.
And it has been bought, and it was trained by Simon Miller, and it's now been bought by Simon Miller and 3 or 4 of his regular stable clients.
Where do you get all this information from, Morley? You're a font of all knowledge this afternoon.
Research. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning doing my best.
Yeah.
And
Richie Bell's in the studio.
I haven't got the curly hair.
It's a
funny
robble
thing-
too. They're in form, these robbles.
They are.
The funny thing with that Horcrux, it's a horse that either wins or it gets in the way of the ambulance. So I won't be backing it, so I hope it's giving the ambulance a bit of an issue.
So what did you make of the trial?
If Simon Miller didn't hate us at TABradio enough,
Well, it was a trial winner.
the Maulers
Won
just
the trial,
stuck the knife in even further.
Boys, I'm chips all in. What a winner. It's my best of the day. 2 starts, 2 wins. The trial was okay in early June. And I marked it as my best bet of the week last week. And they scratched it. Future engagements in the stewards report. The future engagement is this Saturday.
Beautiful.
What a winner for me all day. Keep Objectify safe.
Okay, yes.
Well, I hope the Mauler has a good day on the weekend.
And sorry, Simon Miller, about the
ambulance.
potting your horse.
And the ambulance as well. I'm hopeful you have a big day on Saturday, Bradley, because I'm seeing things the same. I made Want to Win at my best bet last week.
You did.
Scratched to avoid that heavy track. Instead, gets here with 54.5 on his back. A great map to sit in behind the speed horses who are likely to take him right into the race. And I thought he trialled better than Horcrux through that same trial heat as well. He's won like a good horse in 2 career wins to date. Put away a pretty strong 3-year-old race, as we touched upon last week with dominance the last time we saw him at the races as well. So pretty keen on Want a Winner. Happy to make him the best bet on the program for me as well, Marty. And I'm going to be having a saver on My Hidden Universe at that $6 mark as well. Couldn't possibly drop off this horse off his run behind Desert Whisper at the 1,000 last start in a race where they have absolutely smashed the clock. They posted a huge figure on that occasion. I love the way he chased home despite not having the speed to hold up over the speed. Don't think he's a 1,000-metre horse either. He's going to be much better suited here at 1,200 metres, and I think he just gets a setup where while he has drawn very wide, he should be able to just bullock his way across into the breeze and sit outside a horse like Horcrux. And if he can find that position, I do like that setup for him, if that's how the map eventuates, to just be the first horse to come after a leader that's likely to take him a long way into the straight. But he is also likely to have Want a Winner camped in behind him. But I think they're 2 pretty nice horses who are going to have field advantage on horses that have plenty of ability but are likely to get back in the field. You speak of Objectify, Supernatural, even Sunny Honey to an extent, Celebrity Prince. They're all horses that'll be well and truly in the second half of proceedings. So Want a Winner, best bet on the program for me at the $3.50, and happy to have something small to chop out on My Hidden Universe.
So what do we do with the form out of that Woburn Gold race, which gives us Tycoon Harry and Objectify? 66 plus?
I think it's pretty strong form.
Yeah.
This is a really strong race.
Yeah.
A really strong race, Marty. And I just think it's a different setup this time around for a horse like Objectify. Drew Barrier 1 last start and did absolutely no work in the run, had that saloon passage through and was able to cling on in that dead heat finish with Woburn Gold. Tycoon Harry was in between runners in third. Tycoon Harry's currently $23 here. Objectify's at $8.50. I think this is a deeper race than that win last start as well. So I guess that's why I'm probably taking a bit of a set against Objectify. But I could certainly see reasons why you'd also be making a case that could be the strongest form, although I would disagree.
You'd have to have something on Tycoon Harry, novelty-wise, quaddy-wise. You couldn't leave it out.
Well,
just in case.
Lockie, when he was in doing Racing Rewind, we'll get to that in a minute. Racing Rewind the day after Tycoon Harry suggested that it was pretty unlucky, and they'd be looking forward to getting back to the races. So you're looking at number 15 here in this next race.
Unlucky last start.
Well, he was happy with the run, put it that way.
I was going to say there wasn't much unlucky.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it.
No, happy with the run.
It was a really good run.
They were looking forward to its next run.
It was a really good run.
Yeah.
Month between runs as well.
So we need to get moving and get on to race number 7. This is the main event of the day, the big one, the Belmont Guineas, listed 1,600 metres and start time at 4:20. 1, Wind in the Line, 17. 2, Elite Missile, 4:20. 3, Opportunistic is 4:40 to 3:80. 4, Redback Flyer is 13 into 10. 5, King Hit, 34. 6, Fifth Essence, 17. 7, Storyville is 3:30 to 2:75. Earthstorm, 11. Snipperando, 71. Show Lass is 51. 11 is I Can Do It On My Own, 201. 12, Quick Cookie, 126. And Impressive Jewel is $81. Your thoughts at this stage to kick it off, Riles?
Good start if you turn my microphone on.
Sorry, champ.
No, very intriguing edition of the Belmont Guineas. Now, I guess Pinjarra Guineas, you could call it, Mart. From a map perspective, what were you thinking?
Show Lass?
Yeah, looks your leader.
Yeah, I thought.
And a lot of the other speed for mine, Marty, doesn't look overly strong.
No.
Horses that aren't favoured by the market. You're going to have Fifth Essence, who I do really like as a type box seating from 1.
I Can Do It On My Own.
King Hit will be thereabouts from barrier 2. I Can Do It On My Own went forward last start, 3. Impressive Jewel really sprung the lids from a wide gate last start, drawn in barrier 4. These are all horses that are triple figures or close enough to it in the market. So you're likely to have... The speed isn't overly strong in this race. I wouldn't anticipate. Show Lass is, I guess, the one that has shown a bit, and we don't know what her ceiling could be. It was a really nice win against the pattern first up at Northam over 1,300 metres, so she could give a little bit of cheek, but she is still a $51 chance in the market as well. I was always wary myself, Mart, of Storyville second up in the Raconteur on that rain-affected track. I thought her fresh run behind Love and War was huge. She was a dominant winner first up last preparation, then very disappointing second up, and then third up she peaked. So she did have that flat run last prep as well. She didn't have many excuses in that Raconteur other than perhaps the rain-affected surface. So I do think the drying track is going to be a big tick for Storyville. She's unbeaten at the mile, and she just meets these other horses so much better at the weights under the set weights conditions of this race, Marty. She meets Opportunistic 5 kilos better, Elite Missile 3.5 kilos better, and meets him at the same weights as when she dominated him in that WA Guineas back through the carnival, and as mentioned, gets back onto a firmer track. Beautifully drawn. I think she can position up a bit closer in running than her 2 key dangers according to the market in Opportunistic and Elite Missile. She's not at my bet price currently at the 275, but I do think she's the best suited here out of the key chances under the conditions of the race and grand final trainers, grand final for the prep. I do think Storyville can turn around a disappointing run in that Raconteur, and I'll put her on top, but gee, there's certainly going to be some and many making cases for Opportunistic, Elite Missile. Opportunistic's 2 from 2, and while he's not as well in at the weights, he's progressing incredibly well. And I thought he was holding Elite Missile on the line in the Raconteur. I think the mile could very well suit him better, and he may have even come on further, second to third up as well. So could make a huge case for him. Elite Missile was winding up strongly behind him through that raconteur as well. Gets 1.5 kilos in his favour for a 0.25 length beaten margin. So there'll be plenty making a case that he can turn the tables on Opportunistic. Only had the one crack at the mole in the WA Guineas, but gives the impression he's a better horse now, I think, than he was then. He'll get back and come with a late run. That's just him. That's how he's run all his best races in his career to date. And there are some other horses here you'd have to be throwing into novelties. I think Show Lass at the big price is one of them. We don't really know what level she can get to. Very lightly raced filly, maps to find the front all on her own, unopposed really. And she was tried out to the 1600 last prep, and the pattern that she was able to defy in victory first up at Northern, which was a very grandstand fencing run day, really impressed me. Fifth Essence, very green, very talented horse. Box seats for Lucy Fiore. He's going to keep improving with more racing under his belt. And also Redback Flyer, really intrigued to see what they do with him from that gate. I anticipate they'll be happy to go back. Hasn't been seen for 56 days, but he put 3 wins in a line, rounding out with a win over 1,800 metres in Graduation Company before he was tipped out for a little break. But there is always that concern that because he's been 56 days between runs and the bar plates go on for the first time, that he might have had a little minor hiccup in getting him back to the races. Bradley?
Well, for the record, I backed Storyville in the raconteur, and at the 600, 500 mark, I was heading to the payout window. Unfortunately, got stopped in my tracks. Opportunity just swooped down the outside, didn't it? Just paid to him. I reckon
big weight turnaround, though, isn't there?
Yeah, but I've got my suspicion with opportunistic, as they say, call it. I think this could be the Cerise.
That is its name.
Thank you, Riley. I think this could be the Cerise and White flag bearer in the summer.
Right.
Wow.
I think this could be the one.
Yep. So you think?
Yep.
He loves coming in here and delivering with a big...
Well, that's what we pay the big butts to do.
Big statement.
No sitting on the fence.
This race
always delivers.
As you've already said, this race is wide open with novelties at the back end of the novelties. Your seconds, your third, your fourths, and your tries and quartets and first fours. I'll be back in Opportunistic. Storyville might win without my 94.3 kilos on board, and then I'll be another Pike winner that I didn't back, being his biggest fan, and I'll be sitting at the pub licking me wounds.
Well, there you have it, Mark. There you have it. Opportunistic, the flag bearer moving forward for Peter's Investments, and there's every chance he could be, Bradley, with what he's been able to deliver at his first 2 starts. You would anticipate on his breeding and his natural progression that he's only going to be better suited at a mile and with more racing under his belt as well. So I can certainly see where you're coming from there. No bet for me in the race, Mart, but Storyville on top for me. I don't expect to see the price that I'd like to back Storyville, which would be $4. But you never know. We could see a really strong go for either of these other 2 hard in the market at the moment in Opportunistic and Elite Missile, who there will be many making a case for him with the weight swing to turn the tables on the Peters Investments galloper as well.
It's a really good novelty race because there's a lot of them in there that are any old price right chain ticket that could run second, third, fourth, and you could pick up a quid.
He's a beauty, Brad Hardy, and there he goes there. So now the Maulers held up a sign before we go for the Mundaring Hotel. Voss gone Monday.
Voss gone Monday.
They get belted tonight. It is all over.
Wow.
Oh, hang on. You just said Voss gone Monday on the sign. You didn't say if they get belted tonight.
I ran out of paper.
Mark, you didn't read the fine print at the bottom. Have a close look.
So hang on. What happens if they win by 5? He's safe.
You never know. Where
have you got this from, Mauler?
He's got people everywhere, Mark.
Right, what's happened over there?
You've never been.
What's happened over there?
Before I was cut off to get to Bradley, I was going to say Duppy's weighed in again, and he says you just have to feel for Opportunistic now that he's going to end up like Hostile Talk. Not that there's anything wrong with Hostile Talk.
Bob hasn't texted, has he?
The lofty ambitions that were placed on him by the Mauler certainly haven't helped him to reach those heights just yet.
Duff, at home, I've got your carton ready to go. a good friend of mine managed to acquire me a $25 carton of Hahn Super Dry 3.5 that was out of date. I haven't touched it.
That's me.
And I'll get it to Riley. He can get it to you, and the pints off the table.
I don't think Duppy discriminates too much with what he drinks. He'll just take anything at this stage. Jim the Pommy Pie.
Jimmy.
Guineas boil over. Show last 61-1.
Yeah. Well, you sort of like it a bit, don't you?
Well, I just think she's capable of running a very cheeky race out in front. No pressure.
Me and my novelties.
Yeah, okay. A lot of fillies in the Guineas this year. I think they normally do have 3 or 4 in, don't they? Just wanted to say about these two. I mentioned about Young getting a game and being a sub. The other one is Billy Wilson. Very quick play, but one of the best blokes you'll ever meet, and a punter for many, many years. Brother of Ronnie Wilson, the West Perth legend, Billy Wilson, Strawberry by nickname. He'll have his mates listening in tonight. Big shout out to Billy Wilson. If this bloke's half as good as you, Billy, he'll be a star. Don't worry about that.
West Perth, Riley, eh?
Yeah, West Perth.
That is.
Did you put in for the coach?
That's one of the biggest stories that hasn't probably got the airtime it's deserved over the last few days.
Got it yesterday here. Paul Percy.
Got it in the West today.
The entire coaching staff has walked out, and now the captain has said, I'm done.
Done.
Premiership captain.
Paul Persick off the long run. He was firing yesterday. Go back and listen to that one on the socials.
They've been a club that they've had so many trying times over the last, you could say, 10 years, and there's just been
Is it since they moved to June?
lack of stability at West Perth over the last 10 years.
Back in their day, back in the old days, West Perth were a very stable club. They were a strong club.
They won a premiership only a few years ago.
I know you would have gone up there because you would have played up there when you were playing for Subi, right? Have you ever been up there for a game?
I used to broadcast from up there, mate.
Okay, I've never been up there. I've never been up there for a game. But people that I know that are waffle diehards go every week. Swans supporters will not travel to Bassendean to watch Swans at Bassendean. They have a game of golf.
It is each to their own. But
Swans at Bassendean?
So Swans, they go to Bassendean every week.
Yeah.
They go to the home games.
But they won't go to Joondalup.
They go to Leederville. They go to Fremantle. Yeah. They'll go down to Mandurah for the weekend if Swans are playing down there. They will not go up. They hate the joint.
Well, Mark, it's just another situation that adds to the argument or the discussion point that we've been having on this show for weeks now, is that succession plans, largely the ones that we've seen play out in the public space, really work.
Yep.
That's probably why I'm here. Just in case Marty's about to drop off or take off.
Oh, more big deliveries than Amazon the Mauler today. Greg L's enjoying your work, Bradley.
Yeah, I think he's got one left for us too. But let's get this last race done and done. We've got Craig Smith, who is, of course, the CEO for the KBRC, coming up as well. Get your bets on for the footy. That's 22 minutes away from commencing. Also got an NRL game on tonight too. Big game there. Anything else from the Mundaring Hotel?
Yeah, so Greg L's a massive fan of yours, Bradley, and then one of our other listeners has said the Mauler making about as much sense as one of Warren Treadray's press conferences this afternoon. If you've got any...
That's an equal... Well, no, I'm not saying that. No,
I tell you what, if I had feelings, that would have hurt them, but given that I don't, we'll be okay.
And he says, he adds to that, if you've got any outstanding debts, collect up your gold and silver legal tender and use it to back Woburn Gold. That's Fred from Freo.
We're coming to that. And it's Penrith Panthers 197, Canterbury Bulldogs 186. This is a game to watch tonight as well. All right, let's have a look at this final race of the day at Pinjarra on Guineas Day. And just getting the market up courtesy of Tab Touch. Let's go. One is Benji's, 23. 2, Speed Dream, 12 to 9.50. We're getting back the Speed Dream, getting back all the time. Without Regis, 21. Woburn Gold, 7 to 6.50. Royal Toronado is $16. Russian Snipers, 26. Pond Master is $6. Calvinator, 12 to 10. Kalima is 7 to 6. Stylish Lord is 14 into 9.50. 11, Dracana, 7.50 into 5. Missile Storm, 19. Bellini Miss 51 and Cherry Can Run at $31. Speed Map, I had Kelvinator, of course, coming across with Stylish Lord, and they'll attend to the pace.
Yep. Dracano will hold up just in behind them from barrier 2. Russian Sniper was a bit slow last start, but showed speed prior to that. Should be thereabouts. Missile Storm could see rolling forward to hold a position in the first 3 or 4. And Benji's probably another one that could roll forward as well, but they'd be where the speed in this race ends just about, you'd think.
Just before we get going, Adam Durant, the great man, the multi-premiership winning trainer, he must be driving home from Northam. What does all that mean? Have I slaughtered the name of his horse or something?
You must have.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Marley me.
Just get used to it, Adam. I'm paid to slaughter him, mate.
I like what he referred to you as afterwards. He's bang on the money.
Rhymes with ick. All right. What do you can lead here. We want some robust tipping.
There's nothing to say in this race. Woburn Gold, best bet of the day. I'll be Baby Pearl into Woburn Gold.
Webster double.
Uncle Cole.
Novelties. I'll be big on the novelties in the last race, standing Woburn Gold out. Pondmaster, Kelvinator, Chalima, Stylish Lord, Drakina, Missile Storm, all coupled up behind it, but Woburn Gold just wins.
There you go. Just wins.
The one I like's No Hope then. Just doubled my bet. I do think there's value in the last, and it's a very open race. You could make a genuine case for a number of these, and we do have a few texts we will still get to after we go through this race as well, but I'm making another massive case if they're making a bit of ground down the middle of the track late in the day for Speed Dream, Marty. I love how this horse has come back this campaign. Win of the day, comfortably 3 starts ago at Belmont Park over 1,400 metres from last. I didn't expect him to win in that manner, but he was still good enough to, and that was after running second behind Siberian Siren. The start prior to that, the barrier beat him, drew barrier 15 of 15, 2 starts ago, ran 4th behind Done With The Blues and Camera Action, but I think if he draws anywhere near the speed on that occasion, he wins that race with a leg in the air in this company, and then stepped back up to 78 plus grade last start, and the only horse that was able to get past him over the concluding stages, and he had the rest of that field pretty well covered, was Love and War, who could be a group stakes quality mare moving forward. He's airborne, this horse. The weight's not going to worry him, and you're getting double figures over $3 a place for a horse that is just absolutely airborne at the moment. Wide open race. If Jason Whiting can just find some 3-deep cover blending into the race, and they're making a bit of ground down the outside of the track by this stage of the day, I think Speed Dream can run you another mighty race at a double figure quote. I've got huge respect for Woburn Gold. That was a really nice win. There are going to be plenty following her in again. I'm just wary of Woburn Gold. She just seems a horse that they really target at certain races. You go back to last campaign, she was a second-up winner. She's got an unblemished second-up record in her career to date, and then was perhaps a little bit unlucky third up there last campaign, but I just didn't think she was as dynamic for the rest of her prep as she was winning second-up last prep. So just wary with Woburn Gold, but you are getting a nice enough price at that each way to have a crack there. Kalima has a ripping turn of foot on her day, drawn barrier 1. She'll save all the ground up along the fence. And Pondmaster, these 3-year-olds win these open class races at this time of the year, especially the progressive ones, and he has been up for quite a while, but he's not shown any real signs other than maybe last start that he's dropping off. He's got some nice form all through the campaign around types like Elite Missile as well. So there's plenty of depth to this last race on the program. Kelvinator looks likely to roll across and find the front unopposed from barrier 12, and he's going to give plenty of cheek with a setup like that as well, Mart. So
yeah, certainly will.
No shortage of winning chances in the final race in the program.
Yeah.
I'd left Speed Dream out of my novelties, but on Riley's profile, I'll be throwing that in as well.
He's a versatile horse, Speed Dream, isn't he? Because that run the other day was up on the speed where he'd been winning and coming from behind with good finishing bursts, and he's done it before. So yeah, that is one thing you've really got to give Speed Dream, that ability to be able to run anywhere in a race and still perform, because a lot of times you see it, Riles, when you take them out of that comfort zone and they just don't give. But as you rightly said, Love and War, nice horse, chased it home.
If he can just get some 3-deep cover, that's the only concern. Is there's a chance that he could be the one leading up that 3-wide line. But if he was able to slot in, I think he's going to run another massive race, and you always get a price about him as well.
One off the text line here reckons you're going faster than Oscar Piastri with your tips.
Again, if I had feelings, I'd.
All right, let's get your best bets in, Morley. You're first off the cab, first cab off the rank.
Well, I've got 2, Repossession and Want a Winner.
They're your best.
Yep.
Want a Winner, yep. What about value? The Webster double?
The value is the Webster double and Regal Service.
Okay.
There you go. How you going over there, mate? You getting through?
Yeah, got it. Yep.
Best bets for me on the program on the weekend. Race 2, Aberdeen Flyer each way at the moment. That'll get me for a bet. I think he's a very nice horse. Just needs to offset a tricky little gate. Race 4, Little Dutch Play, Small, Rally the Troops and Snazzler, both going well, both at double figures in a very open race. It's a bit of a theme of the meeting out there on the weekend. There's going to be plenty of races where there is value and that will divide opinion, which is good. Race 5, best each way or best value of the day for me, Regal Service at around that $7.50 and $2.60. I really like this horse. Blinkers on first time and back to 1,300 metres up in trip will suit. And the race I'm most keen to play into is race 6 on the program. Want a Winner, best bet for me, and we'll be saving on My Hidden Universe there as well to not lose on him. That's where my set for the weekend ends, Marty. Happy to stay out of the feature for now. And the last race on the program, I'll throw in Speed Dream each way as well. I think he's over the odds at double figures.
It's a good betting meeting, this, isn't it? There's good value throughout the day, good big fields, bit of class splash through it.
Speaking of...
What, we've just tuned in. Who the hell is the new guy? That's the Mauler lock. It's the Mauler.
Now...
I'm not the new guy. I'm the old guy regurgitated.
That's it.
One of our best listeners, Marty, is Jared from Scarborough. Actually, I actually cited the great man yesterday, and he's texted in and said, Mart, just Mart. So he's directing this at you.
Right.
He says, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I've picked up over multiple weeks a trend on your Saturday shifts. And he follows that up with a question. He says, what's your relationship with Simon Marshall like?
No, got a good relationship with Simon over the years, through Joshy Rodder. We're all mixed up, but he jumps in on my show, and he just annoys me when he does it.
with his market updates. You don't like when he just...
No, because he's doing it for an opposition bookmaking firm.
But, and he's quite quick the way
he gets in quickly.
Brings himself in.
He's not as quick as Mercedes on 4 TAB. You've got to be very quick with her. She gets in very quickly. But no, Simon and I are fine. We're cool.
Convincing.
At Mundaring Hotel, they've done a fantastic job. Remember, next week the quaddie is on for the Dinella TAB. Mauler, I think you've been great today. It's been one of your better performances.
Thank you, Martin. It's been a pleasure to be back on the air.
Yeah, it's been great. On the air too at TABradio, not on 6PR around the corner at Hay Street.
Correct.
You're going off there now to earn $1 over there as well?
No. And it's good to be here.
Shopping himself around.
Good to be here, even though a lot of your shows still say from the studios of TABradio, Osborne Park.
Yeah.
About time to update that.
No, by the time we update it, we'll be back there. So we're not going to. And we better send a cheerio out to your fine establishment where you earn most of your money from.
Morley Mitsubishi and Morley GWM, yes. The boys are out there toiling away, trying to...
Grant Lillyman.
They'd be knocked off by now.
Dealer principal.
He'd be well gone today. He's out at a function tonight. We were going to have a frothy, but I'll just have to go back to Maylands and find a few.
I think you'll find a few that'll imbibe with you.
We were going to have a Tiger night tonight at one of the little bars that has Tiger, and I've just got the message that they're out of Tiger. So
that's off.
Well, just make sure you put a leash on that phone when you're there.
The lanyard. You've been good, Mauler. Thanks for that.
Thanks for having me, boys.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by Tab Touch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.